groups like ISIS. President Trump was elected by the American people to put an end to this. From day one, he has showed a very different way to conduct foreign policy.
Oh boy, you know, Tulsi, when she ran, said she is the only real anti-war, anti-regime change candidate. And of course, a lot of people fell for that. And then when she came around from the Democratic Party to supporting Trump, and sucking up to Trump and ultimately getting a job offer from Trump, she insisted Trump is the anti-regime change guy. And it turns out, and we know that Tulsi just waves in the wind. Whichever way the wind blows, Tulsi goes with. Tulsi didn't just get something wrong. She staked her credibility on a claim that has completely collapsed. The core problem with Tulsi Gabbard's political evolution is that she presented herself as this anti-war truth teller who can identify those who are really anti-war and against regime change because she has a special eye for it. She saw it through the Democratic Party. She saw it through the Republican Party. But what she's doing in practice is she is laundering right-wing narratives with the tone of a moral authority that she simply doesn't have. And then she's shocked when people behave exactly the way they always have and exactly the way we've been saying they're going to behave. Trump has always flirted with regime change. This is the thing that's important to understand. He escalated tensions with Iran, and he assassinated Soleimani, tore up diplomatic agreements and replaced them with bravado. You gotta understand that while Trump says, I will keep us out of wars, Hillary will start 3 wars, Biden will start 3 wars, blah, 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 blah. But then Trump's the one who's actually flirting with it, and none of this is new. What's new is that Tulsi Gabbard started to pretend Trump's really different. He's totally different. He's especially, not only is Trump different from Democrats and Republicans who are all for these regime change things, but Tulsi even argued that in the second term compared to the first, Trump was going to be calmer, wiser, more restrained. But every single bit of evidence we had suggested that Trump would be completely unrestrained in his autocratic, authoritarian aspirations in the second term. In fact, Tulsi's presence working for Trump is part of Trump putting in these loyal above all else non-thinkers who are in way over their head. And maybe the most humiliating part for Tulsi Gabbard is that Trump at multiple points has started to sort of isolate her. You remember when the Iran strikes happened, and Tulsi had come out and said, we don't have evidence that we would be doing any of this stuff that Trump says they're doing with regard to their nuclear program. Trump is sidelined. All of a sudden, she's gone. And she's basically been gone ever since that, even though she's trying to work her way kind of back into Donald Trump's good race. So Tulsi Gabbard keeps trying to position herself as the serious foreign policy realist here, the adult in the room. Every single time she finds Trump in some claim, she ends up exposed. Not as a principled, independent thinker, she ends up exposed as someone who misreads power, ignores history, mistakes proximity to authoritarian policy for having some kind of insight. And if this is, at the end of the day, if anti-intervention is what Trump has done in Venezuela, Iran,
don't be such a brute.
is threatening to do in Colombia and Cuba, it's not just like Tulsi kind of miscalculated. This is a full-blown humiliation and total reversal.
You're in for a little shock.
Said Trump was, and everything Trump said that he was. The thing I keep coming back to, how do these people who are presumably closer to power than I am,
Come a little closer.
for things that we know are
You're in for a
I
little
have
shock.
special access. Many of you wrote to me and said, how is Tulsi falling for this crap? You don't have special access. How do all of us with no special access realize Trump's bullshit?
You're in for a little shock.
And the answer may be that being closer
Come a little closer.
doesn't give you better insight. It allows you to be blinded by that itch to be close to power itself. And so to some degree, maybe we actually have the more accurate view, not thinking to ourselves, what can I say to Trump to maybe get him to give me a job? Trump's not going to give me a job. It was obvious he was lying about the anti-war, anti-regime change stuff. Tulsi wanted to be there. She wanted to be next to the cool kid. Whatever. She wanted to be invited to the party. And so I guess it depended on her not acknowledging these very obvious lies that Donald Trump was telling. Thanks for watching. Check out another one of our videos and make sure to subscribe so YouTube keeps our content in your feed. And if you prefer audio, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple. Really have been looking forward today to speaking with Caleb Ragland, who is the American Soybean Association chairman and also a Kentucky farmer. We've covered some of his congressional testimony before, and Caleb, it's really great to have you on today. I appreciate it.
Good to be here, David.
So maybe just to start, give us a sense of soybean farming, which has become an issue of increasing interest in the context of the tariffs and trade wars that the United States is now engaged in. What your family has been in farming for many generations. Has there been some qualitative change to being a soybean farmer in the United States, even before these tariffs were put in place?
Sure. Like in any industry, there's always changes, and we have to learn to adapt, to dodge, and find ways to still be competitive in business. My family has farmed for 9 generations, a little over 200 years, and certainly haven't raised soybeans that whole time. Really, soybean production would just go back to my grandfather. So there's been soybeans raised on our farm for around 50 years now, or a little more. But there's a lot of work that has been done within our industry to turn soybeans into a much more important crop for our country as a whole than it was a couple generations back, and that's mostly due to the export market that's been developed, and also all of the research and innovation that's found all the uses that this miracle bean can be used for.
Has there been a commodification of soybean farming in the United States in the sense that are you selling directly to entities, or is your harvest sort of part of a conglomerate that many farmers like you participate in, which is consolidated for sale?
Really, in my personal situation, the answer would be yes to both. We raise commodity soybeans. We also have a specialty market that we sell into, as in we grow a lot of seed that is used for other farmers' seed for the crop they'll plant next year. So there's just some extra details that go into it, making sure that we cure the varieties and so forth, or test strains and so forth. It's extra work and effort. But really, there would be about 3 areas soybeans are divided across this country. These specialty markets, identity preserve, food grade type opportunities where you would work directly to market containers and so forth. Then there would be just commodity soybeans that are going to be grown.
You're in for a little shock.
The merchandisers are going to take them. They're not going to commingle with any other farmer soybeans and deliver to markets both domestically and abroad. And then there's a small percentage as well that the farmers that will grow the seed production that will be next year's soybean crop around the country.
So we've seen the charts of soybean sales from the United States to China over the last year, and it falls off the cliff. I don't remember if it's late April or early May. Explain to us, is that because of the tariffs put in place by this administration, and what have those tariffs done to your?
I think it's really that cliff that you alluded to is really when the Brazilian crop was available to come to market, and it was a combination of tariffs, and I think it's also a result of a choice that was made by the Chinese government retaliatory tariffs on soybeans. That was a result of all of our other trade war on the many other items and tariffs. And it was basically two strong-willed leaders escalated the fight. And I would tell you the soybeans were the recipient of the backlash of the retaliation of the Chinese due to the fact that soybeans are the largest agriculture export that the United States has, and China is the largest market in recent history of U.S. soybeans. Over half of all soybeans the U.S. exports historically have went to China in recent years. So they're a bigger market than all other foreign markets put together. Another interesting number, China consumes about 61% of all soybeans. So they are a major market, and it's hard to just say, well, just find another market for the Chinese market because it's such a large percentage. To give a few numbers on U.S. soybean production and consumption, of all U.S. soybean consumption, right at half of our soybeans stay here at home that are used domestically. In that half, about half are used with biofuels, another half are used with food consumption, livestock, and other things. The other half of our soybean production is export. Of that half is what China markets.
So it's basically a quarter of all of it was going to China.
That's right. Yeah, very easy. You see a field of soybeans, every fourth row is went to China. Another interesting visual for the 2018 trade.
You're in for a little shock.
Third row to China. So we lost some market share from the first trade war that we never regained, and now we're hanging in balances of potentially losing.
Come a little closer.
That's very concerning for our industry and for the economy of rural America and the economy of this country as a whole, due to the fact of how important soybeans are to our export market and just agriculture revenue in general.
So help me understand some of the politics of this in this sense. Geographically, a lot of the farming is happening more rurally by its nature because you need large spaces where you can plant stuff. Rural America votes more for Republicans than for Democrats as a matter of general principle. My understanding also is that farmers and ranchers specifically, again, maybe geographically, maybe for other reasons, farmers and ranchers also tend to vote more for Republicans than Democrats. And my understanding is that as a community, you all, on average, not everybody, supported Donald Trump over the Democratic candidates both in 2016 and also 2020 and 2024. Is that an accurate representation? Were you a Trump supporter? Are you a Trump supporter? What about your colleagues? Is that a fair characterization?
When you put all the numbers together as a whole, it's a very true it's a fact that rural America, the heartland of America, supported President Trump in all three elections. The numbers say that for themselves. I mean, if you look at the map, the red states, so forth, is pretty obvious. Me personally, I have voted for President Trump in all three elections, and I would tell you it's not necessarily being all Trump rah-rah and so forth, but more so just looking at the policies in general and so forth, and there's a lot of other things besides trade and so forth that come to the table, whether it be regulatory things, tax policy, our things with our borders. There's numerous issues that come into play. And what I would say is, in elections, we had two choices. And the choice of the voter is to choose between the lesser of two evils.
Right.
Oftentimes, it's not necessarily that if you're picking the perfect president, they're not necessarily on the ballot, but you got to make a choice. And I would say that very important that we are engaged in that political process. And I would also say that as a soybean farmer and as a the representative here of the American Soybean Association. We are not a political organization. We are a policy organization. We have policy in place, and we are doing our best to get that policy implemented to make